Honey, I love you, but said I do. Not my mistake. Not my mistake. I love my wife.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Grizzly K, and today this will be the second live stream in a series of live streams relating to Rebecca Bliefnick's case, which is otherwise known as the Timothy Bliefnick trial. Many of you may have seen the story as the Family Feud contestant who's on trial for his wife's murder, his estranged wife. They were separated for about 2 years. So if you missed yesterday's episode, please check it out. It's in the live stream section. It's also on a playlist that I have put in the description box. There's a link there that you can easily just click and catch up on everything, because you definitely need to listen to that whole case overview. This is like peeling back the layers. Now we're really getting into summarizing the trial. So that's what I'm doing for you guys, to make sure you get the most value, that you get to learn everything about this trial in the least amount of time and in the most hopefully engaging and exciting, interesting way as we see justice for Rebecca Bliefnick. Okay, before we get started, remember that this content is for adults only. This is a true crime channel, and we are talking about a case where a mother of 3 was murdered, and it is a case also involving DV. Thank you for sharing the purple hearts, everyone. Really appreciate it. And then before we dive in, also welcome to all my moderators. Thank you so much for everything you do. If you don't know what a moderator is, they have a little wrench next to their name, and they help keep the chat kind, friendly, respectful, and as we say, keep it grizzly. So thank you so much for everything you do. Welcome to all my patrons. Thank you so much for your support. I hope that you got the notification. It works really well on Patreon as well. So probably the top place to get notifications, actually. And also welcome to all my members. If you see everyone's names that are highlighted in green on my screen, I think it's green on yours too, right? Then those are official Grizzly True Crime members. So if you are brand new here, make sure that you are subscribed. Hit the bell, set it to all, so you don't miss out on the next live stream, short, premiere, community tab, the posts that I make for you, whatever it is. I'm always making content for you. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm very excited to bring you this update. So before I do, I just want to show you this article right here. Also, mic check. Okay. So thank you for welcoming everyone. Really appreciate it. So this case started on February 23rd, 2023, when Rebecca Bliefnick, 41 years old, mother of 3, was shot. She was found shot 14 times in her home. And think about that. February 23rd, 2023, and here we are already at the trial. And the trial is expected to last 2 weeks. Today's, of course, Memorial Day. So sending my love to all American Grizzlies and anyone who is supporting this day today all over the world. And so they're not having court today. But this week will be week 2 of the trial, and it's expected to last 2 weeks. So it's gone really fast. So let's see why. They say Illinois law is making speedy trials the new norm. So that's pretty cool. Shaya, I hope I'm saying it right. Khalifa, welcome to membership. Really appreciate it. So let me make it a little bit bigger for you so that you can see nicely. So that's quite nice to hear. I hope they do this in many other states as well. They say Quincy, Illinois, as Tim Bliefnick's murder trial gets underway on Monday morning, about 2 months after his arrest, many have noticed how quickly the trial arrived. Adams County State's Attorney Gary Farrar says following the passing of the Safety Act, cases going to trial in a shorter time will not be unusual. If someone is in custody and the defense attorneys decide to assert their rights to a speedy trial, the prosecution must act that fast. Farah says everyone has to be on point to prepare in such a short time. And yes, so here you could see Timothy Bliefnick here. There's not any room for margin, said Farah. It's a tough thing that they have put upon the people, but we accept that. That is the new norm. Farah says when the defense asserts their rights for a speedy trial, it's crucial for the prosecution to be well organized to head into trial without any hiccups. It just puts a challenge on us to be more organized and be more aggressive and making certain that everything is done, said Farah. Josh Jones and Laura Keck in this particular case have done a great job at that, and they really have. If you do want to watch the trial yourself, it's on Muddy River News and KHQA, which I will show you in a moment as well, just so if you want to see all the days. Remember, this trial is not live streamed, okay? It's uploaded a day or two later, sometimes 4 days later. Usually the next day, Muddy River News will upload the footage from the day before. So that's why we are now catching up on day 2 and 3 of the trial today. Tomorrow we're going to do day 4 and 5 of the trial. And then the next day, day 6, which should happen tomorrow in court, should be available the next day. And so we go. So then we're perfectly on time with everything. Anita Butts, welcome to membership. Chopper says, I'm willing to be the judge during this trial, I guess. Okay, so they say not only does it make things tougher on the prosecution, but it also makes it tougher on those conducting the investigation to complete it within the time frame. We have to get all of the remaining investigation done during those 90 days too, Farah said. So your cases are very fluid and they're ongoing even now. Although a speedy trial brings many challenges, Farah says it can also bring some positives. It puts urgency on our staff, said Farah. It puts urgency on the police force, but that can be a good thing too. You're not going to forget what's going on, or you're not going to let something meander around. You've got to get down to business. I like this approach. How about you guys? He also says with such urgency added, it really gets everyone involved in working as a team. It's kind of the type of thing that does rallies the troops too, and everybody works together. So it's kind of good for an office in that sense. And if we were to look here, KHQA, you could see they upload the trial like this. I must say the audio quality for this trial isn't so great, but you're welcome to go and, of course, watch this if you want to watch the full thing yourself. I'm just summarizing it for you in case you press for time or you prefer summaries. Sometimes we stream trials live as they happen, especially when they are live streamed. This one isn't live streamed. And sometimes I do summaries like I did in the Chandler Halderson case and a few other trials along the way. Okay, and there's Muddy River News as well. They just followed me on Twitter yesterday, so hello, Muddy River News. And they also upload the fastest from what I can see. Okay, so now that we've got all that out the way, let's get into our presentation. Yes, sorry, I'm just trying to think how I could size it nicely for us. Okay, this should be good. Okay. So Timothy Bliefnick, trial day 2. Today we'll be summarizing day 2 and 3. If you like this kind of thing, please hit the thumbs up, share, hashtag Rebecca Bliefnick, hashtag Tim or Timothy Bliefnick, and then hashtag Grizzly True Crime. And if you could please also add hashtag DV awareness. That would be very good as well. So the charges that Timothy Bliefnick is facing is 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of home invasion. Yesterday, we discussed why they say 2 counts of first-degree murder. If you want me to just recap that quickly, if you missed it, they say because, from what I researched, some reasons could be the 1 charge would be murder while attempting to commit a felony, and the second one would be premeditation and malice, which I guess we see here. The defense team says that this case is dripping in reasonable doubt. But from what I can see, it's again, they've got so much evidence. So if you missed yesterday, remember, check it out so that you can catch up on this case. I'm not T-Pain says, if you don't press the like button, Tim will ride a bike to your house and will ask to use your brush. Oh man, Tim and his bike. He thought he was so smart. This guy thought he was so smart, but he really, really isn't. Oh, okay. Okay, just hold on. Sorry, 1 second. Is there a nut butt charge too? I don't know. Is there a nut butt charge? Okay, so are we ready? The victim, Rebecca Bliefnick. Let me quickly, I just quickly want to just see if I can fiddle with something. Hold on 1 second. Oh, there we go. Should be better. All right. So the first witness, well, actually, let me say this disclaimer. These are the highlights from day 2 and 3. So I didn't put every single witness and every single thing in chronological order. I listened to every single thing and I got the best of day 2 and 3 for you. Okay. So this witness that we're going to look at now was William Bill Postle, which is Rebecca's dad. You'll see throughout this presentation, sometimes I write Rebecca, sometimes I write Becky. It's also because of how they say it. Her nickname was Becky. So if you see Becky, unless I'm saying another surname, I will clarify, but it's generally Rebecca is Becky Bliefnick. Okay, 41 years old, mother of 3. She was shot on February 23rd, 2023. So Rebecca, her dad said Rebecca has an older sister, Sarah. So he's got 2 daughters, Sarah and Rebecca. During Rebecca's marriage to Tim, she actually bought him a CZ, I say Z, I'm South African, remember, 75 gun, CZ 75 gun. Okay. Tim, so just remember all these little bits, okay? Tim sent her dad a text message. He shot Rebecca in the early morning hours of February 23rd, 2023, when she was home alone. She had been for surgery. They say abdominal surgery. They've been quite vague about it. So I'm not sure exactly what surgery. One could guess, but I don't want to guess in case we get it wrong. But they say abdominal surgery are the words they're using. And so she went for surgery she stayed at a friend's house. We're going to go over that on the Sunday before February 23rd, right? And then on the Monday, she had the surgery. Tuesday, post-op surgery. And by Wednesday night, when she went to bed, as it clocked over to past midnight, the person who's accused of entering her home and shooting her is her, not even ex-husband yet, they were getting divorced, is her estranged husband, Tim Bliefnick. So that day, February 23rd, 2023, Tim, the alleged killer, sends her dad a text message, okay? And that's quite late in the afternoon as well. And he says, please call Becky and ask her to tell me when she's getting the boys today. I had them last night because she said she was sick, but she hasn't responded to any of the messages I sent today. And I don't know if she's still sick or if she's coming to get them or what's happening. I can keep them again tonight if needed, but I just need her to let me know what she wants to do. Guys, don't you think that just continues the cruelty? Huh? Like, to do that to her dad, to be like, man, can you just go check on her type thing? And he didn't say, can you go to the house and check on her? The defense made sure to ask that. But he did say, please call Becky and ask her to tell me when she's getting the boys today. Wow, the audacity of this guy, right? Now, Bill, Rebecca's dad, then tried to call Tim, but he got no answer. So Tim sends the message, and then he won't pick up his phone. So her dad went and checked on Becky. It was about a 20-minute drive. He noticed that the front door was open, which was very unusual, because he's like, normally she would keep, it's like they describe it as a wooden door behind a door. So that door is normally closed. And he said, that's unusual that door is open. So for him, there was already a red flag. He walked in and then he called her name, but there was no answer. So he started looking for her. He first checked the garage to look, is her car in the garage? Yes, it is. So then she must be home. Or like, where is she? Shame. So he's looking around and he finds her in the ensuite bathroom of her bedroom upstairs. She was lying on the floor. He said he grabbed her arm, tried to move it because he thought, oh my word, she looks dead, but he's not sure. So he grabbed her arm and he said rigor mortis had already set in. He also tried to move her leg. He said rigor mortis had already set in. I'm not sure what job he has or if he's a true crimer or how he knows about rigor mortis setting in. But I guess for all of us here, we would say a similar thing like that if we found someone like that, right? We would know what that is, right? Then he went to a neighbor's house to call 911 because he didn't have his phone with him. So he went to a neighbor's house and just said, please, I need to call. My daughter's dead. And he did. So nice neighbors at least, right? Kathy says he knew she'd be weak if she was sick. That's true as well. She just came back from surgery. Yeah, just out of surgery and vulnerable. What a coward. Yes, absolutely. So, okay, let's continue on. Oh, I feel so bad for her dad because Tim basically set him up to go there and find her like that. Then there was a witness, Roller Wyke, a secretary at St. Peter's School, which is where all three boys go. Remember, they've got 3 sons aged 12, 10, and 5. And she said on February 23rd, 2023 at 11:51 a.m., Tim called the school an hour before the school day ended, which he didn't normally do, and told the secretary that the kids were supposed to walk home that day, but that he would be picking them up. I mean, okay, bro. They said there's 466 students there, and they're like, okay, they normally expect parents to, pick the kids up, or the kids, if they live very close, they just walk home, whatever. I'll get the school bus, but he's like calling, like, oh, hi, it's me. Okay, so I know they're supposed to walk home from school, but actually I'll be picking them up an hour. Like, he's there an hour early. That's so weird. Also, normally, with the custody battle that Tim and Becky were going through, normally, wait, I don't want to get this wrong, Wednesday. She would normally have the kids, I think on Wednesday. Let's get to that. It is later, okay? But I'm just saying that day, she was excited. She had texted someone she was seeing, so I would say boyfriend, right? Even though they weren't officially dating, she said she wanted the divorce to be finalized before she goes public with that relationship. But she was seeing someone, and she told him, I'm so excited. I think I can drive tomorrow. I'm going to go and pick up my boys. Because she couldn't drive after the surgery, and was taking Valium and things. And she's like, I'm gonna pick them up tomorrow. Well, she never got to see her boys again. Oh, man. So there he was. Like, oh, cool. Okay, I'll pick them up. He arrived in a Honda CR-V, a rust or orange color, and he'd never arrived an hour early before, to their recollection. Then there was a witness called Cecilia Garvey, who was a friend of Rebecca. She lives in St. Peters, Missouri, and she met Rebecca at Q-Town CrossFit, where Rebecca was one of the owners, is what she said. Apparently fitness was extremely important to Rebecca and to Tim, even though now they were separated, right? We know that Tim was a football star at university as well. We looked at that yesterday. Okay, so she, as in Cecilia, lives with her husband, Brandon. Rebecca went to stay with them on Sunday, February 19th, because she was having abdominal surgery in St. Peter's on Monday morning. They went to eat, they went to Walmart, and then they went to their house. There's always a Walmart, you guys. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, gotta tell the Grizzlies that one. She stayed there on Monday night, and they said she was in a lot of pain. On Tuesday, February 21st, 2023, Cecilia wasn't feeling well herself, so her husband drove Rebecca home. Cecilia got a text from Rebecca, at around 12:30 that day to say she was home. So on the Tuesday, she was home. So that would be her last, Tuesday night, and then Wednesday night, when she went to bed, she was shot in the early morning hours of Thursday. Okay? I am looking at the chat. I'm just also focusing here. But thank you so much, everyone, for being here. If you're only joining now, I hope that you know what we're talking about today. I hope you watched yesterday's episode. So now we are recapping day 2 of the trial. Then there was the witness, Brandon Garvey, who's the husband of the friend we just spoke about. He said he took Rebecca to her post-op appointment on Tuesday on February 21st, 2023. The doctor's office was around 5 to 10 minutes from her house. After the post-op appointment, Brandon then drove her to her house. He helped carry her bags inside because, of course, she was in a lot of pain, which included a backpack. Because guess what? Yesterday we heard all about she was an overachiever. She was a very successful woman. One of her friends, which we'll see her described her as an alpha female who doesn't take any nonsense. She's got strong boundaries. She stands her ground. And obviously Tim couldn't handle that, right? Oh, horrible. But she was always studying, always furthering her studies. And just to hear that even after an operation, she had her backpack there and she was furthering her nursing school studies and she was doing some work at the house. Sorry, Erin, I missed the question from Mary. I can't see it now. Sorry about that. Erin said, great question, Mary Green. Can't see it right now. So, she arrived home at around 11 a.m. on Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. Then there was a witness called Amy Schmiederskamp, a neighbor of Rebecca. And she said she lives 5 houses down from Rebecca's house. Now, Tim's dad, Ray, which we'll hear more about later as well, is actually her neighbor. So, wow. Because remember, from yesterday, Rebecca had a protective order, restraining order. I wish I could see documents for this, because they do have the documents in court, but they're not really showing much to just see, well, from when till when and what did it mean. But to think that Rebecca didn't want her father-in-law to spend any time alone, unsupervised with her boys, is a red flag one. But he also lives so close. Oh my word. Like, he lived right there. Right? Web Weaver 68 says toy for Fury. Thank you so much. He's sitting right here. Fury, they're buying you toys. Thank you so much. So, wow. I wonder if Amy lives 5 houses down from Rebecca's house, is Tim's dad 4 houses down or 6 houses down? Because she's like, yeah, he's right next door. So she saw Tim take a Little Tikes basketball hoop to his dad's house between 7:30 and 9 a.m., okay, on February 23rd, 2023. Now remember this. Tim is accused of entering the house in the early morning hours of February 23rd, 2023. Sometime, let's say between 1 and 3 a.m. It's a little more specific later with the time. But early hours of the morning. He was a busy boy then. Because then he shot Rebecca 14 times, allegedly. He's on trial right now, okay, innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. He's accused of shooting her, leaving the house, is what the prosecution is presenting, right? But then he only lived about 10 minutes away. Was it even 10 minutes? Hold on. He lived 1.3 miles, 5 minutes away, okay? We're going to get to this as well. So he only lived 5 minutes away. So then he must have gone home on his little bicycle, oh my word, and then come back to his dad's house. And that's almost like a trophy, don't you think? It's weird that he's taking this Little Tikes basketball hoop. I put a picture there for you so you could see what it looks like, because I was like, what exactly is that? That's what it looks like. He took that to his dad's house. What a statement, don't you think? Okay, so who was watching the boys while the mom was being murdered? He was. Actually, the boys were at his house, which means he would have left a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old at home alone during the night as he cycled on a bike that he bought on Facebook. Allegedly, this is all alleged. He's innocent until proven guilty, but that's what they're saying he did, right? Accused of cycling from his house on his little bicycle with no reflectors on, the prowler in the neighborhood, going to is accused of committing the crime and then cycling back with those boys in his house. Yes. Thank you so much, Pernille. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, Jean, thank you for being a member for 11 months. You say thank you for always keeping us updated. My pleasure. And Sheena, thank you for being a member for 4 months. I just think this is such a cocky trophy move. He's like, if he did this, right? I can't wait till we could talk after that. Although the defense is like, this case is dripping in reasonable doubt. So we'll have to see what the jury decides. But man, to go there that next morning, right there past the house, and drop this off at his dad's house when his dad hadn't really spent time with the kids for about a year, according to one of the neighbors, right? So no, he would have gone home. He would have gone to Rebecca's house on a bicycle in the middle of the night and cycled back home, then abandoned the bike somewhere, very close to his house as well. Like a dumbass. And then he would have gone in his car to his dad's house between 7:30 and 9 in his car. So he probably went, this is what I'm saying, he probably went past the house again. Oh my word, because the front door was open and all that. It's quite hectic, right? Whew, okay, so continuing on. Yeah, Wild Mountain Time says, to me it doesn't sound like any reasonable doubt. I know, right? I suppose the defense doesn't usually, they usually say that, but I'm like, sounds quite hectic. Okay, now day 2, afternoon session. Witness, Taylor Heimann, the neighbor of Rebecca. Now, here's a fun fact at the bottom here. His wife's name is also Taylor. So both of them are called Taylor Heimann. That got quite interesting to listen to. Like, sorry, what, who, what, where? Now, yesterday we did quite a deep dive on Tim Bliefnick's Google searches. And he was searching this guy's license plate number, VIN number and all this kind of stuff. More than 200 searches that he did on his work laptop because he saw his truck parked outside of Becky's house in the driveway on February 13th, 2023, going to February 14th, and he was like prowling and stalking already, premeditating, one might call it, allegedly. And so he saw this guy's truck and he's like, who is this? So he's like searching the whole time. But it's also quite odd that he didn't have a clue who this dude was, because this dude lived like also 10 minutes away, within 10 minutes. And him and Rebecca were friends before. And then the relationship developed into a romantic relationship. So they say, this is a picture of him. Now, let me note. Many of the witnesses during this trial do not want to be on camera. So they literally point the camera at the ceiling, and Muddy River News then puts on a picture, that just says Muddy River News or whatever, which is much more pleasant to look at than the ceiling, depending on where you're watching it. But yes, so there's very few witnesses who we can actually see what they look like while they are busy testifying. Just so you know, if you're only joining now, I'm just going to remind you that this trial is not being live streamed, okay? That's why it's not the only reason why. I'm also doing summaries because the trial's a little bit dry compared to Letitia Stark's trial with that incredible judge and just everything we saw. It's quite a lot of hard work to be watching this trial. So I'm bringing you summaries so it can be interesting for you. And then also because they're not live streaming it. So the footage is only available later. Okay, so Taylor, okay, his driveway cameras detected motion on February 14th at 12:37 a.m. And then again on February 22nd, twice. And then they actually saw a person in the driveway in each recording. That was at 1:05 and 1:53 a.m. The person was not identifiable. They showed a little snippet in court. If there was anything to show you, I would, but it's really it's nothing really to show you. You could barely see a thing. So he installed cameras because his wife's vehicle had been broken into. They didn't report this prowler to the police. So there's that. Okay. But they did notice, wow, there's movement on the camera here. Then there was the witness, Ted Johnson. He was dating Rebecca. It seemed to me like they'd bonded because they were both going through a divorce, because he later talked about him meeting with his divorce attorney on February 23rd, sometime around then as well. Yes. Kayan says, watched your first live on this case last night. Jaw hit the floor after hearing his Family Feud response. Who would even think of saying something like that? Yes, when Steve Harvey asked him, what's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding? He said, honey, I love you, but saying I do. And he's like, not my mistake, not my mistake. Wow. And he's like, I'm going to get in trouble for that, aren't I? Oh, man. Go watch it from yesterday's stream. I can't play it again now because Inside Edition copyright strikes like in the blink of an eye. So, yeah. There's that. Kathleen says, I think he Googled Ted's... Yeah, he Googled Ted's license. That's true. Did I say that he Googled the neighbor's one? He Googled Ted's license. It's from yesterday. Thank you so much. Yes? Stand by. Okay. Okay, so let me just clarify. Wait, I'm going to go one slide back. You see the license plate number there? He didn't Google the neighbor's license plate. He Googled the boyfriend's license plate. In case I messed that up in how I said it, I know what I meant, but I think I said it wrong. Thank you so much to Kathleen R. Yes. Okay, so we're continuing on. And just to clarify, the boyfriend, it was an attorney that he had through his divorce, but they were talking about custody, about his kids at the time. Okay, so there's that. Luna says her kids could know a lot about his movements. I don't know, though, because they're so young and he went in the middle of the night. They were probably fast asleep. Sarah, thank you so much for your $4.99 super sticker. And Christy says, yes, he Googled Ted's license and VIN. Yes, he did. He was very, very jealous of the guy, clearly, just based on the behavior that she was seeing. Okay. So, Ted Johnson. He'd been seeing Rebecca since the summer of 2022. They were friends before. says that her divorce was not pleasant by any means and that there was a lot of animosity on both sides. And you'll hear everybody says that, right? Rebecca was excited for the divorce to be done and over. He spent the night with Becky, who's Rebecca, on February 13th and left around 5:30 a.m. on February 14th. There we go. The truck had Missouri license plates. Because remember, yesterday when we looked at Tim's Google searches, he was looking at Missouri license plate numbers, Missouri VIN numbers, and then he looked at the exact license plate on Google. Man, this guy. I don't know how he thought he was so smart, right? Yes. Okay, so we're going to carry on now. Kaya says, I wish I was caught up on this case, but this is my first chance to listen in a few days. Welcome to Kaya. Don't worry. You could just check out tomorrow's one and watch it at 1.5 speed. You know? Then you can catch up real quick. That was only 50 minutes yesterday. And we looked at a whole bunch of video clips and stuff in between as well. But I hope you're catching the gist of what's going on in this case. Rebecca Bliefnick, 41 years old, mother of 3, shot on February 23rd, 2023. And here we are, ready at the trial for Timothy Bliefnick, her estranged husband. So there we got confirmation that Ted Johnson had spent the night with Becky at her house on February 13th and left around 5:30 a.m. on February 14th, the same night that we know Tim Bliefnick had Googled his license plate number. So those add up. He saw her next when she came home after surgery and brought, I don't know how to pronounce that, Qdoba, to her house on February 21st. He carried bottles of water and books upstairs for her, kissed her on the forehead, and told her to sleep well. That was the last time that he saw her, which was on Tuesday night, February 21st, 2023. He texted her the next evening at 7:16 p.m. That would be her last evening alive, to ask how she was doing. She said she was doing laundry. They texted again at 9:18 p.m. and had a call. She said she was feeling better and would drive to pick her boys up the next day. Oh, man. Right on is asking, why do you think this got to trial so fast? If you missed the beginning of the stream, we went over why trials are getting there quicker, especially in Illinois these days. So check out the beginning of the stream if you missed that. Okay, yeah, yes. Jean says, Miss G, right? He thought he was so smart. This guy thought he was so smart, but he really wasn't. Okay, the next morning, Ted texted her, good morning. Now remember, she had already been shot in the middle of the night, so she was deceased at this point. He texted her, good morning, at 6:41 a.m. At 8:13 a.m., he texted, hope you slept well last night. And at 12:39 p.m., he texted, Marco, hoping she's going to say Polo, you know. In court, they asked him, what's that all about, Marco? He's like, Polo, Marco Polo. I hope you guys know the reference, right? Like that game. I used to play the game in the pool with my cousins. Marco Polo. Everybody closed your eyes. Find each other. Right? So, yes, he texted her. He was getting worried. He first thought, well, maybe she's busy. Maybe that's why she's not texting back. She was excited to pick up her kids and everything. So, okay. So, good morning. Hope you slept well last night. And then Marco. He later got a text from Becky's sister who told him that Becky was dead. Can you imagine? Oh, my word, getting that news. That is just horrendous. Cloudy, welcome to membership. Kaya says, we'll watch previous video after. Yes, I recommend 1.5 speed. I don't know what I would do without 1.5 or 2 times speed. I love it so much, especially for trials like this. Need it, okay? Okay, so Becky Rebecca, had kept a duffel bag in his safe. He didn't know what was in it, but the police then said, did you know there was $13,000 of cash in this duffel bag? He said he didn't know. She just asked if she can keep a duffel bag in his safe. So I'm wondering if it's like a DV. If there's all the DV warning signs, which this case has about Tim. I wonder if she was just stashing that cash there in case she needed to grab it and run, right? Something like that. Yes, Kraken says, Marco Polo, fish out of water. That one, yes. Thank you so much for the sticker. So, he was meeting with his now divorce attorney, but it's for his ad litem attorney. kids, custody battles with his ex, right? So he was already divorced, and it was a custody meeting with an attorney around the 23rd is what he said. Now, on February 22nd, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. that evening, they actually showed some exhibits of the text that they'd sent to each other. She said to him, her boyfriend, in case you're not following, well, I have a lot of errands to run tomorrow, and my non-independently wealthy self doesn't allow a chauffeur, and I don't like to ask for help, as I'm sure you already know. It took me all I had to ask you to pick up food. I'll make it work. Now note that, okay? The reason I want to note that is because in all true crime cases, my goal is always to learn from them as much as possible, as difficult as it is and as hard as the topics are, and we by no means ever victim blame on this channel, okay? I just want to learn from it because I know what that's like. It's very hard for me. It used to be. I don't think it's so hard anymore. But to ask for help, right? But Rebecca did tell everyone that Tim was like the biggest red flag ever. She said she was afraid for her life and all of this kind of stuff. So she was talking. But here to say, I don't like to ask for help, it's completely understandable. If it's a DV situation though, right? I would highly recommend calling the police, because you know what's so sad is hearing all these testimonies is that not her sister, none of the friends, no one called the police. Everybody heard what she had to say. She heard what she had to say, but no one called the police. Now, the police also need a lot of training on how to recognize DV. Laura Richards does a lot of that training, who we've had on the channel before. So you can check out thelaurarichards.com if you want to find out more about her. But yes, the police need a lot of training with that as well. But still, call the police, right? Then, on February 22nd, 2023 at 7:32 p.m., she said, also took a lot for me to even let you come over here and see me in my gross post-op glory. But that's why I took Valium, so I wouldn't be bothered about it. Oh, shame, man. This case is just so terrible. All the warning signs were there. The next morning, Ted texted her, yes, good morning. Wait, we went over that. Hope you slept well last night. He later got a text. Yes, okay, we went over that. Then there was a witness, Quincy Police Department Officer Hermsmeier. He received a call at 3:30 p.m. on February 23rd, 2023 to assist in a death investigation. He was told it was a possible unaliving oneself. That was interesting to me. You know, I know that they might just say that, but I just wish police would be more cautious with that, as we've seen in some cases. You know what I mean? But anyway, he said it was a possible person who unalived himself. He arrived at the home. He went upstairs to the second floor and noticed 6 or 7 shell casings on the floor. And he said, if one takes your own life, usually it's typically one shot. The door to the bedroom and wooden frame were damaged. He found a cell phone behind the bedroom door. So apparently, from what I'm hearing and understanding, she tried to call 911. It never connected. And it seems like the killer knocked the phone out of her hand. The window on the east bedroom was broken, and there was an impression made by a shoe or foot on the carpet. So here are some pictures that, trust me, if you go and watch the original stream, you're going to know I fiddled with this to make it as clear, as sharp, as everything as possible so we can actually see what the hell is going on here. It was on a projector screen in the courtroom, so if you go watch the original stream, you will appreciate this, I'm sure, right? So you could see how the door is damaged. You could see the phone behind the door. That would be the bedroom window on the right-hand side that he broke into with a crowbar. And remember, his Google searches like how to open a window with a crowbar, how to open a window from the outside. Like, oh my word, very hectic. Hope you guys are following. Here's some more pictures of the window. Okay. Quite hectic. Thank you, Angel Ray. Then there was a witness, Sarah Riley, who is Rebecca's sister. Sarah lives in Irvington, New York. She's 16 months older than Rebecca. She said that Becky met Tim in college. They moved to Chicago and then Fort Wayne, where they married in 2009. She said that fitness was a huge part of Becky and Tim's life. They moved to Quincy when their oldest son, now 12, was born. In 2020, Becky told Sarah about the impending divorce. That was 7 to 8 months before Tim filed for divorce. I find it very interesting how Tim's the one filing for divorce in all of this. I guess one could speculate that he's quite the control freak, right? Yes, Mama Moon says Google searches are a giveaway. For me, it's the Google searches and then that Whoop fitness device. Whoop. Yesterday I thought it was Woo, but they say Whoop today. We'll look at it. Anyway, it's like an Apple Watch, right? That thing. Whew, that and the Google searches and the little bicycle and all of this. The fake Facebook profile, John Smith, that he used to buy a bicycle with no reflectors. Okay. And then also, yeah, the Google searches include him literally looking up the very license plate of her boyfriend. Okay, so moving on to Rebecca's sister's testimony. In 2020, Rebecca already told Sarah about the impending divorce. You can see this has been a long battle, right? Sarah and Becky communicated frequently, texts and calls. Becky sent Sarah a text in 2021 saying, "If something ever happens to me, make sure the number one person of interest is Tim. I'm putting this in writing that I'm fearful he will somehow harm me." That, if you hear that from a friend or family member, I would recommend calling the police. Rather safe than sorry. Rebecca had never told her parents about this. Her sister never told her parents about this. No one called the police ever. Again, I am not by any means blaming anyone. I'm trying to learn from this, okay? If a friend tells me this, I'm going to be like, I know what to do. Calling the police. Because you got to get out safely. You can't just like run or whatever. But I would call the police to make them aware of the situation, right? Tim and Becky prolonged the divorce for their kids, in case anyone was wondering. The last time that Sarah was in the same room as Tim was during Christmas of 2019. In a police interview, her sister described Becky as a strong-willed alpha female that wouldn't be pushed around. Becky didn't tell her parents or the police about this, and neither did Sarah. Sarah said she did not ever witness physical altercations between them. Sarah found out that Becky was dead from a phone call from her mom while she was in a salon. Becky was worried that, so apparently at some point, this is just a random fact that was also asked there. Apparently at some point, Becky was worried that her new boyfriend, right, Ted, didn't value the relationship as much as she did. She said she didn't want to go public with the relationship until the divorce was final, but that she loved him and that she didn't fear him. So here you can see the text that, again, it was shown on like the projector screen. So I tried to screenshot that nicely and make it clear. If something ever happens to me, this is what Rebecca wrote to her sister. Please make sure the number one person of interest is Tim, as that is who would do something to me. I'm putting this in writing that I'm fearful he will somehow harm me, come after me, or will try to do something to me that takes me away from the kids or the kids away from me. He already has lied multiple times to paint himself as a victim and me as the perpetrator, when it is absolutely the other way around. No, I have not sent this to mom or dad, as I don't want them to be out of their mind with worry. So, I just quickly want to look at my notebook. Just wait, I just want to find, where's that one thing? It was called DARVO. I just want to find what it stands for again. Do you guys remember? Disarm, and then what? Oh, man. There. They say this often happens in DV cases. I learned this from a dash course I took with Laura Richards. DARVO. It's a police term where the perp would usually deny, attack, and reverse the victim-offender role. Be like painting themselves as the victim, right? So this is so classic. It's like textbook DV cases. Oh, my word. And Rebecca's saying it. No, I have not sent this to mom or dad, as I don't want them to be out of their mind with worry. Yes. Okay, let's see some of your messages before we carry on. Christy Graves says, oh, my heart breaks for Becky, but thank goodness she had the forethought to send this. Right? People say it's as if she's speaking from the grave. Okay. I'm just looking what you guys are saying. Okay. We'll continue on. So now, that was day 2's highlights. Now we're going to look at Timothy Bliefnick's trial, day 3. Bliefnick is a very Dutch-sounding surname. I don't know what the origin is, but I'm like, oh, I'm in the Netherlands. I'm South African, right? But that would be a surname I think one would hear here, Bliefnick. Okay, trial day 3, his charges that he's facing, just as a reminder, if you're just joining the stream now, 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of home invasion. He didn't kill 2 people. He's accused of killing 1 person. He's innocent or proven guilty in a court of law. And the reason there could be 2 murder charges is because it could be murder while attempting to commit a felony and premeditation and malice. In certain states, that would count as 2 charges of first-degree murder. Okay. So, victim, Rebecca Bliefnick, she was 41 years old, mother of 3. They had 3 children together. They met in college. Okay, then, day 3. In the morning session, right? There was a witness, Denny Woodworth, Rebecca's divorce attorney. He was Becky's attorney when she was served with divorce papers, because remember, Tim was the one who filed for divorce. In August of 2021, there was an order called for Ray Bliefnick, that's Tim's dad, to have no unsupervised contact with the children. That is quite a red flag. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Where does your mind go when you hear that? But I'm like, interesting. Especially later when you see a text message from another friend where Rebecca had said, Tim said, if you out my dad, he will have to move out of town and then he's going to kill himself. What? What is that all about? Tell us more about that. What? Wow. Cloudy XX, thank you for being a member for 10 months. Yes, Mama Bear says, personally, I feel that all trials should be speedy. We need to go back in time to when we were able to try someone and complete the sentence within a few months. Jean said, definitely premeditated, in my opinion, with a bike and all. And you know when he bought the bike? October. That's when he was starting to look for this bike. October. Damn, that's many months before. October, November, December, January, February, 4 months before. Wow. Okay. So that's interesting. In August of 2021, there was an order called for Ray Bliefnick to have no unsupervised contact with the children. Tim was going to have to pay $2,100 in maintenance and $472 in child support. The next order was for Tim and Rebecca to stay out of each other's homes and for Tim, now listen to this, to return the 9mm handgun, the one that Rebecca bought for him when they were still married and living together and all that. Yeah, he had it, right? So there was an order for him to return the 9mm handgun. Becky wanted the gun for protection from Tim. He did not ever turn it in. Tim officially filed for divorce in February of 2021. They got married in 2009. In November of 2021, Gerald Timmerwilk, the law partner of Denny, took over Rebecca's case. He said that Tim made significantly more income than Becky. He was a sales person. So, witness was now this law partner who took over the case. Gerald Timmerwilk, Rebecca's divorce attorney, said the divorce was very contentious. Said that Becky was a stay-at-home mom until she began her nursing career in 2016. Now, I'm already seeing a downward spiral from there, which does make sense if you look at patterns in cases involving coercive control, domestic violence, and narcissists and others. You know, a whole bunch of others. There's a whole spectrum of all kinds of other labels we could throw out there. I'm not just trying to throw out labels. I'm just saying, oh, okay, so since she was a stay-at-home mom, but since she actually started her nursing career, it seemed like there was trouble, especially from his side. Was his little ego threatened or what? Again, speculatively, because he's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So, the court order by Judge Adrian said that they were not allowed to enter each other's homes. They had to stay within 3 feet of their cars when dropping off the kids. So he was also breaking this order when he allegedly broke into her house. Becky wanted $800 if Tim couldn't find the gun to turn in, because there's different clauses, like if he doesn't turn the gun in. So for him to hand over the gun, she would have to prove that she had a safe to store the gun in. And she said, there's a clause that says, well, what if he can't find the gun? She said, well, then she wants $800, right? So it's not like her demanding, I want $800 if he doesn't give the gun. It's a legal clause, right? Yes, and Jean says he didn't want her to have any independence. So Becky wanted $481,000 from the divorce settlement and wanted 50-50 custody of the kids. Tim was fighting for 60-40. So if you've ever heard of a petty, petty, petty little man, that would be this guy. That's what it sounds like. Petty but dangerous, okay? Tim wanted Becky to sell the home. He didn't want her... So that was their marital home, right? He had his own home 4 minutes away. 5 minutes. 1.3 miles away. So that's also like... even though they were separated, and yes, it's because also they're sharing the kids. I get that. But damn, they lived very close to each other. And his dad lived within 5 houses of that house. I don't know, man. I'm just like, sure, dude. Anyway, he wanted her to sell the home. Didn't want her in that home. And he wanted her to get a psychiatric evaluation in order for her to get 50-50 custody. She declined and said she's ready for trial. Yes. Christy says, petty boy. The rest of the letter says, how do you lose a gun when you have kids coming over? Well, based on what we know so far, it seems like he didn't lose the gun. You know what I mean? He had other guns as well. Okay, so he said that this attorney said that Tim was willing to pay maintenance. There was another witness who was Rick Zimmerman. He was an ad litem attorney. It was his role to look out for the best interest of the children in a divorce, which is what's similar to the boyfriend's attorney, right? So that's what he said. Becky was concerned about her boys being around Ray, Tim's dad. He also said it unsupervised. From the My Family app, he could see that multiple texts between Tim and Becky showed that they were arguing a lot, but he didn't see any acts of domestic violence. The problem is, sometimes the domestic violence acts are also, all the warning signs are here on these online interactions and all this kind of stuff as well, right? But anyway, there's a text that we'll look at exhibits as well of text messages that Rebecca had sent, which really are like, oh man. So, he last saw Tim on February 16th, 2023, and he also saw the kids that day. Tim had the kids, there we go, on Mondays and Tuesdays. Becky had them on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And then they took turns on weekends. So if you go, Tim had the kids on Mondays and Tuesdays. Becky had them on Wednesdays and Thursdays, right? And normally she would have had the kids then on the Wednesday. But that day she didn't because she had surgery. So she came home on the Tuesday, didn't have the boys. They were staying at his house, which was only 5 minutes away. So he knew she was very vulnerable because she just came back from abdominal surgery. Which I don't know what that means. If it's like is it a tuck? Is it a hysterectomy? I don't know. I said earlier, I don't really want to guess because I don't know. And that's not really for us to know. It's just that she was in pain and she was on medication and he probably knew, yep, she's weak at the moment, you know? So that's what we have. And she was very excited on that Thursday to go and pick the kids up. Then there was a witness, Kelly Lepley, Tim's neighbor. Okay? So Timmy boy over here. Oh, man. Tim banged the neighbor. Like, dude, bro. Okay, they were separated, so I'm not judging that. I'm just like, I don't know, just Tim. If you just put together everything about him, he starts to sound quite annoying as an understatement. Okay, so Tim was Kelly's neighbor in 2021. About 6 months later, they would visit each other's houses. And then they asked, obviously, to clarify for what. She's like, to have sex. She was employed at Quincy Medical Group and recently moved to Pennsylvania. February 22nd, 2022. That's a typo. That's a big typo. I'm like, no, 2023. Huge typo. Typo alert. We need the horror hog for that typo alert. Horror hog for the typo. Cover that typo up. Okay, so look at it. Look, you can see on the text the correct date. The day before. Well, he went there early hours of the morning, allegedly, to Rebecca's house on his bicycle. But that day before, February 22nd, 2023, he said, "I'm here solo. Kids are in school, so come over." She said, "Okie dokie, I'll be over in like 15. And he said, "See you in a few." She was in the house for about 15 minutes and left. Wow, a whole 15 minutes, you guys. Yes, in and out within 15 minutes. Jean says he's a coward. He knows she could have fought, but she was in pain. Christy says they prey on any weaknesses. Malamutation says, what an awful arrangement for the kids. Yes. Not Squirrel says Tim also wanted his dad to see the kids without supervision. Yeah, he wanted his dad to see the kids without supervision, which is quite interesting that she was shot in the early morning hours of February 23rd, 2023, and that morning between 7:30 and 9, he took over that Little Tikes basketball hoop to his dad's house. It's kind of just like, what a statement. Like, here we go. We're going to put this here and the kids will now be coming over. Oh, my word. You guys are like quickie. Yeah, you don't say. I'm trying to insult him at the same time, but we'll have to wait until sentencing. Anyway, so witness Sergeant James Brown with Quincy PD. He was at Tim's house for approximately 2 hours on the night of February 23rd, 2023. He was present when Tim arranged for someone to pick the kids up. He was also present at a traffic stop on March 1st, 2023, when Tim's Whoop fitness device and phone were seized. During the search, Brown said Tim told him where 2 keys were, as well as an activation card for the gun safe in his bedroom. He said Tim also informed him about a broken shotgun in the basement with a live round in it, as well as 2 possible passcodes for his garage. So he was being like, overly chameleon and just so compliant, is what I'm reading. It reminds me of Brian Laundrie at that Moab police stop, if you know what I mean. When it's just like, oh, cool, it's just like, we're friends now. I'll give you the codes to my garage and everything. I'm just going to comply like anyone's business here. Now, important, because people will ask. I was asking myself. There was no video surveillance available at Becky's house because she didn't pay for a subscription on her Ring camera to allow for video recording. She bought an ADT home security system in February of 2021. The ADT system, though, could register movement and registered an alert at 1:12 a.m. On February 23rd, indicating the front door had been opened. 14 minutes later, ADT recorded that the front door remained open. The system alerted that the garage door was opened at 3:27 p.m. when Bill Postle arrived. That's her dad. Tim also did not have ring cam surveillance at his house. So I don't know what I'm learning from this is if you're in a situation where you're this afraid of your estranged partner, upgrade that security system. Make sure you got the Ring cam. Just to add that added layer of protection, right? I'm not T-Pain, so it makes me wonder what the dad knew. Kane says, why was she left alone after surgery? Well, she was with her friends the whole time on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. She got back on Tuesday. As soon as they had dropped her off, then her boyfriend came over and brought her food and took her upstairs and gave her water and gave her books and everything that she asked for from downstairs, kissed her on the forehead, and said, sweet dreams. So that was on Tuesday night. So yes, on Wednesday, she would have been alone for Wednesday for most of the day, probably studying because she was busy furthering her nursing studies. Blessed Mom from Texas says, thank you, G, for all your hard work. You're amazing. Never stop doing these cases. They help so many. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your $10 super chat. If you guys are having issues, I do see there's lots of people saying there's issues with the chat. I know YouTube's going through a lot of changes. It might help to either refresh the page. Sure, that could help. It could also help to clear the cache, in your YouTube app. If you're watching on an app, clear your search history or whatever and re-sign in. And then also unsubscribe and resubscribe and hit the bell to all again. That type of reset really helps because they are doing major software updates. Because we as creators get the emails, of course, to say all the changes they're making. And I know when there's changes like that, there's glitches. So just do all those things, okay? I sound like Mr. Grizzly right now. He always tells me that. Have you cleared your cache, okay? Have you uninstalled and reinstalled the app? I'm like, oh my word, here we go. So I'm passing along the wisdom. He's a software engineer, so I'm passing along the wisdom, okay? Now, let's continue on here. So there you can see that alert was at 1:12 a.m. So that would... that's when the front door was opened, which is when the perp would have been leaving because they broke in to the bedroom window on the second floor. I'm still trying to visualize that. Like, wait, what? That window was broken and then, yes, left through the front door and left the door open as well. Which doesn't that just sound like the Idaho case? Oh, my word. Right. So we continue on. Hope you're following. Hope it makes sense. Then there was a witness, Christine Moore, has lived in Quincy for 16 years. Her husband worked with Becky at Blessing Hospital in Quincy. And then they became friends. Okay? So they became friends and texted and called frequently. On May 7th, 2021. I'm always amazed at how long the history of these texts and the warning signs and everything went on, right? So Rebecca Bliefnick texted her friend Christine, "He has screamed in my face. He shoved me in front of the kids and has thrown things across the room where the kids and I were standing, punched a hole in the wall. If things really didn't go his way, or if things really don't go his way, I feel he can be very unstable and unpredictable. And the thought has gone through my mind that I may need a restraining order. I'm definitely changing the locks as soon as I can." Oh my word. She also said the only way to ensure all 3 of her sons choose him over me is to eliminate me as a choice. Because he was now playing chess with the kids. Oh, it just makes me sick, honestly. Because it's such a pattern. It's like, no, 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 no. Okay. The picture that I'm showing is of Rebecca Bliefnick, the victim. And I put it up there just so you don't get confused that it's Christine Moore or anyone else, okay? So, witness. Christine Moore continued. She said that Tim was one of the coaches of her son's football team last fall. She did not help Becky get a restraining order because the defense asked that, or a protection against him. And the divorce had been filed. Okay? The divorce had been filed. She was aware of it. Then there was a witness, Nicole Bateman, Becky's childhood friend. She knew her for 35 years. So since Rebecca was 6 years old. Oh, my word. That is a long friendship. BFFs for so long. She moved to Quincy at age 20. On May the 9th, 2021, Becky sent her a text that said, "Tim," this is such an interesting one to me. I'm like, oh my word, what do you think this is, you guys? "Tim told me if I outed his dad, that he, Ray, the dad, would probably have to move and then he would kill himself. Please, please, Grizzlies, give me ideas. What the hell is going on there? If I outed his dad?" Remember, she didn't want her kids, the 3 boys, to be with this dad unsupervised. And here, she's texting this friend, "Tim told me if I outed his dad, that he, Ray, would probably have to move and then he would kill himself." What? Yes, Christy says she sounded so scared. Emily says, yes, this man was just trying to control everything. Yeah, he's a pretty POS. Blessed Mom from Texas says, I believe these security systems should be much cheaper. They are very expensive. I'm just checking what you guys are saying because I'm like, what? Oh, my word. Thank you for censoring it, yes? Tea and Wildflower says, that's very odd. He was an abuser too, I think. Something sinister. Very interesting. I was just like, what? Well, I don't know. If so, whatever it is, I hope that comes out too. The truth comes out at some point so we can keep more people safe. So she also texted, and yes, I absolutely worry that he will try to take the kids sometime, especially if I get awarded the custody I want. He will be pissed, and he will do whatever he feels like doing. There's a picture of him. Nicole, this friend, last saw Tim December 2019. So you can also hear a pattern that, December 2019 is when most of the friends last saw Tim, around Christmas time, and then he filed for divorce in Feb of 2021. Yesterday, the information we had from the opening statements was January, but they clarified in day 2 and 3, Feb 2021 is when he filed for divorce, which is quite an odd move, right? You say, Lisa says, this guy needs a major Botox. That's a whore at 39. He's 39 years old. Same age as me. September 8th, 2021. Now, whoa, you guys, whoa. Look at this. September 8th, 2021. Rebecca says to her friend, on top of that, a friend and co-worker of mine from the ER was murdered last Friday by her ex. She was aware. Like, this could go so wrong. She was aware that she could be murdered by this guy. Yeah, she said, yes, I literally had a panic attack Friday night thinking Tim is going to come after me and do the same if he continues to not get his way. If he's crazy enough to file this order of protection and make all this crap up and blame it on me, what else is he willing to do? And that's sometimes what happens. Sometimes the perp goes to the police first. Just want to see this. Rose Smith says, I'm guessing the dad lived there first, then they moved into the neighborhood, apparently since he wanted her to sell the family home. The dad lived at a home like 5 houses from the home that she was living in. So I get what you mean, right? You're guessing the dad probably lived in the neighborhood first, and then they moved there 12 years ago into the area and must have bought a house like 5 houses down from, his dad. Yes. T and Wildflower says she must have been living in fear. So sad. So, this is a picture of them from when they were still together. She said, but I told my lawyer I either want an order of protection for myself and the kids, or at least make a statement in court and on the record that I am scared of what he might do, and his erratic behavior and constant lies facilitate the need for protection. On top of the fact that he has all our guns and ammunition, including mine. And guess what? She was going to trial to settle this divorce at last in March of this year. Yet she was shot 14 times on February 23rd, 2023. I think it was supposed to be March 2nd. She was, they say, going to trial because she actually had subpoenaed a whole bunch of witnesses. She was going to present her case. She was going to say what a danger he is. Oh, man. So, terrible. Okay. Then there was a witness called Amber Whitler, a surgical assistant at Blessing Hospital. She said she met Becky around 2016 and they had contact even when they no longer worked together. She remembers Becky telling her that she wanted to change the locks but said that Tim wouldn't let her. And told her that if something happened to her, it was Tim's doing. So there it is again. She's telling lots of people, even people that she worked with and was acquainted with, but not super bestie friends with, right? It's just acquaintances. She would even tell them, if something happens to me, it's Tim. She's telling everyone, if something happens to me, it's Tim. Guys, Tim. Dangerous, Tim. Man. Witness, Becky Spots knew Becky through CrossFit. So they met through CrossFit and she worked with her at Blessing Hospital. She had several exchanges with Becky on Facebook. She says they mostly spoke on Facebook. On June 4th, 2021, Becky sent her a text. I'm wanting to never have my children around them alone ever again. Them. They asked, the prosecution asked, what do you mean by them? She said, Tim and Ray. Tim and his dad. So Becky said, I'm wanting to never have my children around Tim and his dad alone ever again. That's like, I don't know what's going on there. What does it mean? Okay. It has gotten to the point that I even hate going to work for fear he will secretly take off with the kids and I won't see them for a long time. I truly believe Tim has serious mental health problems and is becoming more vengeful and unpredictable, and it scares me. But I'm scared to even try to get an order of protection because it will piss Tim off. Do you know how many, that's just from me reading and researching and doing the courses and things, how many victims of DV are scared to actually get that order of protection, are scared to call the police because they're scared to piss off the perpetrator even more. So she says because it'll piss Tim off and he'll try to punish me somehow. The problem is, really somehow the punishment is murder. In a lot of cases, it's very scary. Okay, I don't think an order of protection will be issued because they will say his violent outbursts have not been egregious enough and incidents have been stretched out over too long of a period. And the problem is, sometimes that's true as well. Taylor Weichel says, I grew up in Quincy. Even when people alert friends and family, it's shrugged off. Most don't assume things can spiral this far. So sad how hard she tried to raise flags and it wasn't enough. Right? This is why I really think education in DV helps a lot, because once you see all the flags and the patterns and the everything, I think it can help, because it's just like, oh my word, you can't unsee it, right? She said temporary custody has not even been set yet because we haven't been to court. I don't even have exclusive possession of our house, so I can't even legally keep him away from me or the kids. Plus, if I ask for an order of protection, I won't be able to come see my children in his house anymore, and he may cut off their communication with me while they are there. And that scares me too. It's a effing nightmare. Remember, this was dated before they actually had that court order to say you'll stay outside of each other's houses and 3 feet apart from each other at the car and all that, right? Then there was a witness, Melissa Young. We're almost done for today. A nurse who job shadowed Becky for a period at Blessing Hospital. On January 5th, 2023, this year, she saw Becky at TJ Maxxx, and she said that Becky appeared mentally and, wow, emotionally, don't ask me what that is. There's a typo. Mentally and emotionally exhausted, nothing like I've ever seen her. And she said she hadn't seen her in 3 years, but yet Becky was like rambling, like, oh my word, so great to see you, but like you won't believe it, like I'm going through this divorce and I'm almost through it and it's going to happen, you know. She was like, whoa, this is hectic, like what is happening here, right? She said she was mentally and emotionally exhausted, nothing like I've ever seen her. She said Becky talked about the divorce in great detail and could not wait for it to be finalized. Becky told her that Tim said, here's another statement. Tim said, you'll be dead before you have any of my money. Becky told her she felt that Tim could snap at any moment and felt suspicious that he was hiding money. She had screenshots then to show Melissa her reasoning. At that point, Melissa had not seen Becky for 3 years, so she found it odd that she wanted to tell her so much about the divorce. So it was clearly bothering her a lot. Then there was a witness, Amanda Keck, a record supervisor at the Quincy Police Department. Now hear this. On February the 10th, 2023, Tim called the Quincy Police Department and said he had a gun that he needed to return to his ex-wife. He said he did not want to give it to that crazy bitch. So Amanda was like, okay, let me transfer you to the lieutenant. Wow. That language that he used there. From a call, like let me randomly call up, hey, hello, Quincy Police Department, yeah. Okay, hi, I have a gun that I need to return to my ex-wife. Yeah, I don't want to give it to that crazy bitch. That's basically what he's saying. That's just so weird. So she's like, right, I'm going to transfer you to Lieutenant Shannon Pilkington. Tim said to him that he had, and yes, it's a male, Shannon Pilkington. I hope I'm not saying it wrong. Pilkington. Tim said he had a court order to, so now he's explaining it to him. Tim says he has a court order to give his soon-to-be ex-wife a gun. He said the divorce was brutal and contentious. He could like hear that on the phone, right? As per the court order, Becky obtained a safe, which we talked about earlier. She went and got the safe so that she could get him to give over the gun, because she wanted a gun for her own protection against him. Now, Tim had to hand in the gun. So why was Tim asking the police department? This is what they asked him. Why are you asking the police department to be involved in returning the gun? And he said to the lieutenant, he did not want to do a face-to-face handing over of the gun to her because he didn't feel safe. I'm like, oh my word, this guy. He told Tim it wasn't feasible for the police department to be involved in the return. Wow. Because there was a court order. And he was probably like, what is this guy going on about, right? Elle says it is odd that not one person seemed to take her seriously. I mean, everyone listened, right? But I guess some people are just like, wow, that's really bad. That's like, ooh, I'm so sorry. And she's going through all the motions. She's busy divorcing him. People here oftentimes are very terrible divorces, messy divorces. But you don't think like, damn, he's actually going to kill her, right? So rather safe than sorry, I would say if your friend is going through this or someone you know, rather call the police and then call them again and again if you need to, because sometimes they might be like, whatever, based on lack of training, I would say. Yes, I'm not T-Pain says, wow, trying to paint her as the bad guy. What a typical abuser. Yes. Sure. So I'm so sorry to everyone that has been through these types of situations. I'm glad that you are alive, that you are here with us, that we can all learn together. Thank you for sharing the Purple Hearts for DV awareness. Please remember to like this episode, share it, hashtag Tim Bliefnick trial. You can see that how to spell his name, yes, in the title. Rebecca Bliefnick, DV awareness, and Grizzly True Crime. If you don't mind sharing it, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Reddit or WhatsApp or email or wherever you share it, it really helps to get the message out to others, because the more we look at these case studies and the more examples there are, the more patterns we see, and hopefully the more we can do our very best to try to save lives, you know. Oh man. Okay, so I think that would be the end of the presentation. Yes. So we recapped today, day 2 and day 3 of the trial. That was a full recap of day 2 and day 3, morning and afternoon sessions of day 2. By the way, day 1 was the jury selection. That was last week, Monday. Day 2 was opening statements, which we looked at yesterday, as well as just an intro to the case. And then on day 2 in the afternoon, a whole bunch of witnesses were called. We went over that today. The next day, that was Monday, Tuesday. On Wednesday, it was day 3. We recapped that now as well, morning and afternoon. Now, what I'm going to do for you tomorrow is recap day 4 and 5, okay? So let me quickly just go to my YouTube here, and I just want to make that stream public so that you can see it, because this stream is going to lead you to that one. All right. Where the wind blows, so it's okay to share. Yes, please. Share. Yes, please. Okay. So I'm putting tomorrow's stream to public. That'll be day 4 and 5 of the trial. Same style as we did today, recapping everything. Yes, and again, if you want to go watch the trial yourself, I would recommend 1.5 speed at least. And it's available at 2 different places. They uploaded after the fact, right? So we've got KHQA. They uploaded normally 2 days after the day happens in court. Tomorrow will be day 6 of the trial, okay? But they're not live streaming it. So I think day 6 will only be available the next day, which is also why tomorrow we'll be doing a recap for you, a summary of day 4 and 5. Then as day 6 happens, we're doing that. The next day, hopefully, I can watch and recap day 6. If it's time zone weird, I'll do it for you the next day. As soon as I can do it, I'll do it, okay? And then you can also look at Muddy River News. This is another source. This is actually the main news source where they're uploading the footage. If they are watching, I just wish they would make it easier to... The labels can be a little bit confusing at times. They're all over the place. So, Yes, Muddy Revenues is another source as well. If you want to go watch the witnesses, most of it's the ceiling you can see because the witnesses don't want to be on camera, so you'll watch the beautiful ceiling. But if you do want to see there, the defense attorneys, the prosecutors, and everyone, the judge, go and see it for yourself. Otherwise, I will see you again here tomorrow for day 4 and 5. Now, let me quickly put that in the chat, okay? I'm going to put it here, tomorrow here. And then this stream should lead you to that one. If it doesn't, at least you'll know where to find it. Black Widow says, thanks, G. Mods, lovely Grizzlies, my Grizzly dude, and all the lurkers, stay safe. Yes, everyone, stay safe. Remember, what is, trick question, not that you can show me. Do you know the signal for DV? And some people are like, when do people abuse it? It could save a life. It has saved lives. I've seen plenty of stories already on TikTok of this signal saving lives. Okay, so it goes like this. Yes, if you see someone doing that, they're in danger. Or this is supposed to be a DV signal. So if you see someone sitting, like I heard the story on TikTok of a lady sitting at like a restaurant or a cafe. I'm not sure if it was like, I think it was a restaurant, right? I was visualizing it as like a cafe, like a, brunch spot. But okay, at a restaurant, sitting there with a guy. She's looking at this one guy and she quickly does that. He sees it. And this is I love this guy on TikTok. Marsha, I think his name is. Misha. Anyway, so he's like, oh, I know what that means. So he immediately goes over to the manager and says, like, this girl was showing like the sign, there's a problem. And you know what they do? They walk up and then this guy pretends to be her bestie and says, hey, bestie, I haven't seen you for so long, man. Come with me. Let's just quickly. And the guy's like, hey, what's going on? Meanwhile, the manager called the police and the whole thing was dealt with. And it was a dude she'd met on Tinder. It was their first date. He drove her hundreds of miles. She wasn't comfortable. It was probably going to be a true crime case, honestly. But now that is the DV signal. But she was like, oh my word, this guy is such an abuser. Like, please, can you help me? I'm in danger. So if you see that, no, it's a DV awareness signal, but it could also be help me. I'm in freaking danger. Okay. So you also learn it for yourself. Okay. Black Widow says, I just rely on save me. Sometimes when you are traumatized, you're non-verbal. So I think the hand signal helps as well, right? So thank you so much. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you, mods. Really appreciate it. And see you tomorrow. Okay.